Hello, New York. If you're not a girly, this is not for you. Let's talk about books for strong, independent girlies who don't need no man. So you'll notice a theme with all of these is it's kind of decentering yourself from men, celebrating women that are successful, whether it's in their personal life, career life, hobbies, whatever it is. But we have a collection of romance books, which you'll think is like, Emily, well, don't they end up together? But it's a girl who still doesn't need a man, but chooses to have one. There are some books here to kind of teach you to separate your worth from romantic relationships. And we have some, of course, this wouldn't be a video for me if there weren't some feminist think pieces involved. So let's get right into it. We've got quite a few, and without further ado, first one. I know this might seem confusing. Percy Jackson series. Percy Jackson is the main character. You will read this for Miss Annabeth Chase. Annabeth Chase is a strong, independent girl who does not need any man but chooses to have one. This series, it follows a group of demigods and kind of follows them as they learn more about themselves, conquer quests. It's written for middle school level reading, so it's pretty easy, but it's always still good. You'll always have good lessons from it. And Miss Annabeth Chase is an OG strong girly, so highly recommend. Also, you can get up to date with the Percy Jackson TV show that's coming out. I think the next season will be next year, I don't know. Next one is Princess Academy. This is a book about girls who are chosen to attend academy to become the ideal princess. They learn about how to like speak at the table and introduce themselves, and they learn history. But there's such a strong sense of like girlhood and solidarity, and you don't need no man. And we love our main character, Miri. Ugh, a little bit since I read this. Such a good book. Definitely young adult, might be even like middle school, but really teaches you that sense of independence and finding your self-worth again. This is my first memoir I'm recommending. Recently finished it. Everything I Know About Love. If you're anywhere on like the book self-care space, you've probably seen this. Controversial opinion. I didn't like 2/3 of this book, but the last third of it was very good. Written by Dolly Alderton. It follows her life. She tells her story about how she really prioritized romantic relationships throughout her 20s, and she has a lot of there's no filter here, which is great. She talks about how she navigates her 20s and comes out like appreciating just the girl friendship she has and reflecting on what romantic relationships mean to her. And it's like I said, I didn't really care for the first 2/3 just because, spoiler alert, there's a lot about like drugs, drinking, and sex, and a lot of like partying. And she does a lot of really good reflection of like why she delves into those, but personally that's just not me at all. So like I didn't find that part relatable, but the last third was very good. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Push through till the end at least. Next one, The Secret Bridesmaid. This is so cute and about friendship and removing ourselves from romantic relationships, because you don't need a man. You're strong and independent. You don't need that. But you can choose to have one if you would like to. You can choose to be in a relationship, but it's about the choice. Secret Bridesmaid is about an individual who is hired to be bridesmaids for people, like to like literally play filler. And it follows this girl who is paired with this bride who's kind of a bridezilla, also doesn't really have many friends in general. And it just really touches on how sweet their friendship is, how they grow to trust each other and appreciate each other. It's a book for the girlies. Our next one is probably my first romance I'm recommending in this video. Book lovers, anyone who's seen, like knows me at all, me and Nora Stevens are one and the same. This book was actually written about me. This was for the eldest daughters. I always talk about that, but Nora Stevens is someone who is unforgivably herself, her authentic self. She's ambitious in her career. She doesn't let relationships set her aside, but she still would like to be loved, but she doesn't need someone. But she chooses to have someone, you know? This is for the people that feel like second choices, the people that get reprimanded for not like prioritizing. Why aren't you focusing on finding a husband and having kids? Like, why are you focusing so much on your career or your own ambitions? This is for you. I love this book so much. The romance is great, but I really like Miss Nora herself. She is a favorite of mine, and if you've ever felt like, if I've said anything that resonates with you, definitely read this one. Also Emily Henry. This is an Emily Henry Stan account. Also, we share the same first name, so. Next one, the Legend series. This is a dystopian young adult series. Our main character, June, is such a girl boss. Long story short, there's two sides of this war. There's the government, very heavily militia side, and then there's like the rebellion. You can kind of see how this is going. We have two main characters on either side. They ended up meeting up, questioning what they were taught, what their views are, whose side should they actually fight for. But the main girl, June, is this like military prodigy. I love her so much. She's so cunning and smart, and the girl bossed her way to the sun, essentially. And she doesn't need anyone to rely on. She can do it herself, but sometimes it's okay to say you need help. But we love her. This is a trilogy, but recently the fourth book came out, probably within like the last 5 years or so, which thank goodness for the fourth book, because the trilogy's ending is crazy. I could not imagine reading this in real time with how that ended, so highly recommend. And now for the two books on my TBR that I believe are still for the strong independent girlies who don't need no man. First one, I have not read this yet, but Men Who Hate Women. This is just really unpacking how much misogyny affects us in everyday life. It's written from a women's rights activist standpoint. I'm so excited to read this. I'm gonna read this soon, but if you ever like, I feel like this is one really good for like the pick-me's, I'll say it. I think it's just a romanticization, I can't say that word, of like, not, and like, I always think of Meg from Little Women, like just because my dream is different than yours doesn't invalidate it at all, and that's so true. But like the romanticization around like marriage and having kids, and like I feel like just because also I was raised Catholic, that whole mindset is like pushed that way, like, oh, when God gives you children, this is what you're like, this is your path of what you're meant to do. And like back in the day, men used to, one, go to war, to be able to like provide for an entire family with one salary while the woman stays at home with the kids and cooks and cleans and whatever. And I think that whole romanticization of that, I need to think of a new word because I can't say it, but this does a good job of like breaking down the realities of the situation we are in. Also, as someone who's been online like publicly for 4+ years now and has gone viral on all social media platforms, it's very telling. And to give you a long story short, spoiler edition, I would say 90% of my hate comments are from men, and they always center around body shaming and very misogynistic comments telling me to go back to the kitchen. So yeah, this author talks about how this like sparked with like the Twitter fights, which I was never on Twitter, thank goodness. That's a scary place. Let me tell you, it's not. I'm like a tiny little creator. I cannot imagine what like the huge people with like millions of followers receive. Like, it's people being mean is too normalized, especially from men. Anyway, last one on our little list to read is Loud by Drew Afawalo. I love Drew. I followed Drew on TikTok for probably 3-4 years now. Like, she was one of the big creators when I first got on TikTok that I found. She wrote this book. She talks about her experience, about how to like decenter men from her life and how she has helped others to do so, kind of talking about her journey of navigating the patriarchy and misogyny. She also speaks a lot on her experience as a woman of color and also someone in a larger body. And I respect and look up to her so much. I'm so excited to read her memoir. I haven't gotten around to it yet because there's just so many books to read, but it's on my TBR, and I think she's done a really good job of helping a lot of women realize that your worth is not connected to a man, which is great. But if you would like one, you can choose to have one. It's about the choice. And also keep your standards high, because don't settle. If they're not making your life better, it's not worth it. If they're causing you problems and making your life worse, take the trash out. And those are my book recommendations for the strong independent girlies who don't need a man. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you have any recommendations that you feel like others might enjoy. This has been so fun. And if you want to keep up with me and see a little bit more behind the scenes about what I'm reading, what I'm talking about, be sure to check out Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube. And I'll see you next week. Otherwise, this is me flexing. Remember, you're a strong, independent girly, and you do not need no man. That's the beauty of life. It's 2024 now. It is not the 1950s or when we needed men for a credit card. We are far past that, and like I said, it's all about the choice. So I'll see you next week. Take care of yourself, and happy reading.